Hi, welcome back to our next lesson. I'm excited to share with you how to make this beach scene. It's so fun. It's really a fun way to play. And I actually, this was again part of a 2-panel one, and I chose this side. The other side looks like this. And they both work. I think it was actually like this, so you can kind of see where I cut it. So it totally works, and they're both really good. So let's get started. So we actually use masking fluid to start with, and so it's a little bit different. I'm using what is called, it's Peebo drawing gum. It's liquid Frisket. That's what you want, is liquid Frisket. There's different brands. I like Peebo. There's other brands out there that also work. Gumbacher makes one. It's like liquid latex, so it's gonna mask. You're gonna mask off brush out. So you're not gonna, anywhere I put this masking is gonna be where I will see white after I take it off. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of going around with the shoreline, making kind of like waves going on the shore or something. And I'm not making one straight line. I don't want that, but I do want it to look like a sea, like a wave. And it's probably a little bit light. This is a light blue tint to it. I've had some that were orange. I kind of like the light blue a little bit more than the orange, but you know, it doesn't really matter. Okay, and so I got this nice little line for our surf, and now I'm going to go in and I'm just going to kind of dot in. This is where it meets the sand, right? You got all these little things, all these little bubbles kind of that goes in with the sand, and it's really kind of fun. And I'm using it. You don't want to use a good brush for it, and if you do use a good brush for it, make sure you clean it really, really good with Dawn dish soap. I say Dawn because Dawn's like the only thing that I know that will like get it cleaned, but I just use a really cheap craft brush. I'm not using anything. I'm not using an expensive brush. Don't use an expensive brush. It'll gum up your bristles and you will be very sad with yourself if you do that. But I also like Peebo. I use it sometimes in calligraphy nibs too for fur. Okay, I think that's good. I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna wash my brush off right now. Okay, back. So now we gotta let this dry. You'll know when it's dry when it doesn't have the sheen anymore, and this is almost dry. But almost is not good enough. So usually I like to wait 20 minutes for it to dry. So we'll come back in about 20 minutes and it will be ready to go. All right, it is back. It is dry. You know that the masking is dry when you can touch it and it's not moving and it's not going anywhere. It has a little bit of a tack to it on your fingers, almost like cement glue when it's dry, but it's dry. You do not want to heat set this with your heat gun. It will bubble up. It will destroy your paper and you'll have to start over again. So just let it air dry. That's the best way. Best practice. All right. So I actually had it on backwards. So here's the blue side. Here's the sand side. Let's get started. And it's really simple. It's pretty easy. It's not going to take us too long. I always like to go light to dark, right? So I'm going to go ahead and start with my spray bottle. And I'm going to go light to dark. There's lots of water on there. It'll be great. All right. I'm going to start with turquoise. Tap, 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 tap. And then, because I want it to look like it's the sea, I'm doing that. Now I will take my brush, because I do want some of this turquoise to come up here, right? And it doesn't always come up here. And now what I can do is I can just kind of let the water drip. Let the water kind of add some extra texture. So yes, this is very much a wash. I'm okay with that. And I will have a towel down here. It's already starting to look like a beach, but I wanted to add some ultramarine to it as well. I really like the ultramarine because it's what I would call bossy. It kind of takes over, but I really like having that turquoise because it just adds so much to it. Okay, I'm gonna add some of this turquoise that's down here. I'm gonna add up here. It didn't quite. I really love this masking fluid. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll add some more ultramarine. All right, now I'm just gonna kind of let it be. Now, with the sand, I really liked the sandstone with some copper. If you remember, I used this as my guide, and I did dark brown with copper. So that's also another thing, is you can, once you get a technique that you like, you can say, okay, well this was dark brown with copper. All right, I can do that. So it was not sandstone like I thought, it was dark brown. Let's get that dark brown out. And you see that this blue is kind of moving towards, that's okay, because I'm not picky about it, because I'm going to be going this way. I'm going to be moving the water back the other way. So it's not really going to matter. Okay. And what I want to start is I really want to just kind of get this kind of sand down before I start adding more. I don't want to lose that texture. You can kind of see I'm adding water, and I'm just kind of creating the baseline for where I want the brown to be, and then later on I'll add. And I like the blues and the browns kind of mixing in together. It really makes it look like you're actually on the sand. I always get a lot of clean water because I don't want to get rid of this texture, but I want to fill in the white. I think that makes sense. It's more like a wash, so then when I go back with my brushos, I can add that texture in. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. There, I'm adding in that texture. I'm adding in that brown texture. Sometimes I think it's easier just to shake it out. There. Now, I'm just going to watch it kind of, I like to say grow. I know that's not quite the right term for it. But I'm looking for, right now I'm looking for any white spots that I might have that I missed before, and I see a couple. Not too crazy. I'm also just kind of playing and seeing what's going to work. All right. I personally think that looks like a beautiful beach sand, don't you? It's already looking really cool. Now let's add some of that copper like my thing showed. So I also like color play because I played around. I know what to make. I know how to make sand because I just made it. So then when I get to the real thing, I'm not like, oh no, I'm too scared because I don't know if I can make it. And the hardest part is starting. I think that's going to look really cool. I don't know if you can see the copper very well, but it is looking really neat. All right, so the hardest part about this is I can't take off the masking right now. I have to wait for it to dry. I do see that I have some brown, maybe, and I don't think it's going to show up, but I don't necessarily want the brown up in the, just down here is where I want the brown, but I'm going to let it dry and then we'll come back and we'll take the masking off. It should take about 5-10 minutes to dry and then we can take the masking off. But look at that beautiful beach scene. It's looking really cool right now. I'm going to show you how to finish it off when we take the masking off. You guys, it's dry now. I felt like it took for freaking ever, but you can kind of see the really cool copper tones and look at all the texture. So the way I like to do it is I like to start and I just kind of go back and forth with my thumb until I get like I guess like a blob, and then I can really start to take it off. And it really doesn't take too much time. You just want to get it all off of there. You can use an eraser if you want, but I just use my thumb like that to get it off. And then, yeah. And sometimes it's tricky because you think it's the Triscuit and it's actually the pigment, and so you have to kind of, I don't know, if it feels like there's texture to it, it means that there's still some Triscuit to it. So this is really fun. This is probably, and then I just take this. Once I get enough, you can kind of just pick it up with the glove, but or you set it aside and just let your finger. If you had a kneaded eraser, you could also use a kneaded eraser. Sometimes with this much, I just use my thumb. It's easier. You don't have to worry about it. And then it's like eraser thing. So I always like to just kind of put it to the side and realize, okay, when I'm done, I have to throw it away. All right, so there it is. There it is. Now the white is a little too stark for me. So what I like to do first is I like to just kind of wet, and the Brusho is still activated by water, so I can still kind of just almost like glaze over it. But I don't want to glaze all of it, right? I want to leave some of it white. So I'm using almost like I'm getting my brush wet and then I'm dabbing it on a paper or on a washcloth. And I'm just kind of giving it a nice little glaze. So here's my water. And I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to paint the whole thing in, but I don't want that stark white either. So I'm just being very careful with how much pigment is actually getting in. I made one of these cards for my husband and I, like 10-year anniversary, well, 6 years back. It was really fun to make. He proposed to me on a beach, and so beaches will always have a special place in my heart. And so, yeah. And of course, it always changes through time. Like, I can't predict how the Brusho was going to react to everything, so this is a little bit different. I left a whole lot of white right there, but look how pretty that is. So then if I wanted to, I could go back in. I'll use a little bit of ultramarine. And because it's wet just a little, it's gonna is gonna add to that texture. And I really want it to look like it's just part of the beach, so I'm making it, I'm just adding. So now if I wanted to, I could take some of this brown, maybe I'm gonna add it up here a little bit so it doesn't look like it's just blue and brown. I don't want to change a whole lot either, but I think I like it the way it is. I'm afraid that if I mess with it too much more, it's just gonna like ruin that beautiful texture. I mean, everyone who sees this can tell that this is gonna be a beach, that this is a beach scene. So I don't feel like I have to be too realistic. Brush shows, the medium itself lends more towards the representational aspect of the art. And so I think I did a good job. I think you can totally tell that there's the surf, the sand, and the ocean, and the water. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm gonna let it go. I'm afraid that if I fuss with it too much more, it's just gonna look funny. So there you go here, and then we'll cut it in half probably, and then I'll be able to put a sentiment here and really have fun with making a simple card. But there you go. What a nice piece of art to give with a card or as a card, right? It's really cool. So anyways, I hope this helps you learn how to paint other elements and have fun practicing and playing.